Dave, man, thanks so much for coming on the show here today. Really excited to have you on. Could you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Beyond my bio, I think maybe what might be more interesting, because it seems like all of our bios sound really alike these days.
Yes.
I actually, when I first went to college, I was a Division II soccer player as well, but I thought I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. So I actually entered, kind of our field in sports medicine and athletic training.
Yeah.
With the hopes of, going to grad school after that. And number one, being a D2 athlete that was full-time, and realizing, man, I'd really like to try to prevent these injuries or mitigate these injuries rather than dealing with them after the fact.
Yeah.
That's really where the genesis of my career came from. And then I'm one of those guys that there's a few of us, we never look back. And for me, it's all I've ever done.
Yeah.
I graduated, I got my first job as a personal trainer in a big multi-purpose health club in New York, just outside of New York City. And I just never looked back. So I kind of grew up in the health club industry, but I always had my hands in training kids or coaching kids. And then I really started to specialize in that in the early to mid 2000s. 2009, I opened my gym just south of Boston, ran that for 16 years. And then in January of 2023, I actually closed it and downsized. Now I train out of our 2-car garage. I have a lot more control and a lot more sanity. Believe me, there's parts of it that I miss. But getting through the pandemic was really tough on us, as it was for everybody in our industry. Just trying to stay open, trying to serve the kids, trying to keep my employees employed. And I didn't take care of myself very well.
Yeah.
So that resulted in where I am now, and I always feel like we're right where we're supposed to be in life, whether we realize it or not. And I couldn't be happier. I'm still training a ton. I'm consulting a ton. Talking to friends like you and podcasts, and so that's kind of a snapshot, but beyond, what it's easy to read in my bio.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I always say that every hero has an origin story, right? And so I would love to hear, what originally got you into strength and conditioning? What got you into this space initially?
Yeah, I'd have to say actually two things. One was out of necessity and practicality. I played soccer, basketball, and ran track in high school.
Wow.
And I loved all three very, very much. I loved soccer the most. And let's just put it this way. As a freshman in high school on a varsity team with big kids, I was 5'4", 110 pounds. I was a set of legs and a stick figure up top.
Right.
I was pretty quick and I had a little bit of skill, so I was able to get by. But I started to lift weights in my parents' basement, like a lot of us did, especially in the 80s, out of necessity. And then I joined a gym, and I kind of loved the feeling of getting stronger.
Yep.
And then what really forced me in a way to study it a little bit more, even before I went to school, was I broke my hand playing basketball. I was trying to break a full court press. 2 guys tried to squeeze me. I fell through the middle of both of them. I landed weird. And going through the process of meeting with the orthopedic surgeon, physical therapy, and learning about sort of that side of the industry, if you will, the clinical side and the rehab and getting back to playing side of sports, I was like, this really, really intrigues me, which brought me to, sports medicine. I thought I wanted to be the guy that, helped me with my hand, the orthopedic surgeon. And then while in school, also now in college, I had access to people who knew what they were doing in the strength room, right? A real strength coach that was teaching me how to squat, how to use, free weights and all these things that I really didn't know about in the 80s in high school. And I fell in love with that and it was almost another sport for me.
Yeah.
And then when I changed my major, right, to exercise phys, I just knew it's what I was supposed to be doing. And I still have a thirst for learning like you do. And I appreciate, people in our industry like you that are constantly learning. Like it's never going to stop, whether we're learning from our athletes or a course or out of a book or whatever it is.
Yeah. That's one of like the 3 things that I always looked for in employees. And now, we don't have employees anymore in that sense, but like people that I enjoy spending time around, one of like the most common factors that I see across all these people is curiosity. Right?
Yeah.
They're always asking questions, and not in a negative way, right? But always trying to challenge the status quo and trying to make themselves a little bit better. So I've always respected that. And then one other piece I wanted to get, while we're kind of getting all your background and, all the juicy tidbits from the beginning, but I would love to hear your journey, right? Because I feel like you've seen a lot in this industry. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for a while now. So could you kind of give us your journey and some of the stops that you've had along the way that have maybe helped form you?
Yeah. From a career standpoint?
Yeah.
So like I said, I was lucky enough to get a job right out of college. I had a connection with this big health club in New York. It was an alumnus from where I went to college. And it was like that perfect scenario where I replaced the guy that was becoming the fitness director for that club. So I walked into 35 to 40 hours of actually training people rather than it's still like this in a lot of situations. You get 35 to 40 hours of working the floor, and then from there, if you're good at what you do, you can gain personal training clients. So I was immersed 100%. I should back up a little bit. Even in high school, I was coaching soccer players. The soccer camp that I went to hired me as a high school kid, which at the time was really awkward because some of the kids I were coaching were my teammates.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
Right? So I was always coaching kids, and I just had a heart for that, even though back then I didn't know it. So no matter what club, and back in the early 90s and through when I left that part of our industry, it was kind of like you went from club to club trying to make a few bucks more per hour or better percentage on your personal training. And no matter what situation I was in, Mike, I was training kids. And in most cases in the 90s, I was like, I'd say the general manager or the ownership, do you have a program for kids? And typically it was no.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, call it divine intervention or whatever you want, I just knew it had to be based around play and fun, right?
Yes.
I had no sense of I need to teach this group of 6th or 7th graders even how to squat or deadlift or move free weights. Some of the clubs, they'd have like this junior certification where you show them all the Nautilus machines or Cybex machines. They get certified, which allowed them to go into the gym unsupervised, which was cool too. But I was more like, hey, I have this cool tag game. Let's play this for for as long as it goes. So it ended up being these kind of after school programs that no matter where I went, I was allowed to either start them or be a part of them and grow from there. And then, we kind of fall in our industry, we fall into kind of categories depending on where our success is. So we, talk about like you, I know you're doing a lot of basketball and soccer right now. I've always been a ton of soccer because I coached it, I played it, like that's who I was. And, and then for a while, for whatever reason, it was a lot of lacrosse. We talk about guys like Eric Cressy, good friend of ours. He's like, I didn't set out to be like the shoulder guy. And then like base. I was a trainer. I was training kids. He started training a high school team and they won the state championship. There you go. So it was the same with me. I really started to get really heavy into soccer. And then I started this evolution of, how can I better prepare these kids for the game. And I always went back to my own experience. What do I wish I had? I still do that. What do I wish I had that would have better prepared me to play the game? And sometimes it's a little painful because I'm like, man, if I had a Mike or even, or a Mike Boyle or an Eric, how far would I have gone? Could I have played potentially after college? I don't know, but the fact is, we didn't have this. We didn't have nearly what we have now. And even still now, the science is chasing the practitioners, right? The science in a lot of cases is like, hey, this guy is having huge success doing this with his athletes. Now let's study it and figure out why, how much efficacy is there really. And, and then you and I can take that and, all right, how can we make that better? And I think that's what's really accelerated our field, which for me is exciting. So that's been sort of my journey, is just continually, we already mentioned it, continually learning and allowing myself to chase my passion, even though there were times, I'm sure, I don't know if you've had it, many of us have had it. It's like, what am I doing? Is this a viable career? Will I be able to actually support my family on it? Am I crazy for doing this? Am I really making a difference? Like all of those questions. So it's been all the ebbs and flows of being in business and being in this industry, but that all gets wiped away for me when I see a kid's eyes light up when they learn a skill or something clicks for the first time, and they look at me like, Coach, did you see that?
Yeah,
I saw that. I saw that. And I feel so blessed to have witnessed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think one of the things that I've always loved about you, as long as we've known each other, is that you've always been training, you've always been coaching, and you see so many young athletes, right? From that middle school level up to the collegiate or maybe even the professional level. I'd love to start really broad with you. And I would just love to hear, over the 20 plus years you've been coaching now, what are you seeing right now today with a lot of these young developing athletes?
Unfortunately, injuries. Injuries, and I'm seeing, I'm trying to use different terminology that is truthful with people. A lot of my interaction is with parents, and of course the kids with the parents, club DOCs and coaches. And, even when it comes to injury prevention, I think that word becomes misconstrued at times. For me, it's injury reduction or mitigation, because I'll just put it this way. Since 2020, I think I'm on my 16th or 17th ACL return to play. All kids under 16 years old.
It's crazy,
and,
man.
I'm a kid from the 80s. I don't know if I knew one kid that tore their ACL.
I know.
Right? So what I'm seeing now is the early specialization is not getting better. And another term I'm starting to use more and more, Mike, is under-recovered. A lot of these kids, because of the year-long nature of all sports, let's be honest, all sports, they're not ever really deconditioned. Now, when I grew up, we were never deconditioned because we were playing outside all the time. Yeah. So then it was more specifically for soccer or basketball as a kid. There had to be some acute adaptation there as you started to, get into that season, and you got there very quickly because you had this base level of athleticism and conditioning that was already set in because you were playing outside all the time. So now where the primary source of exercise for kids is structured youth sports.
Yes.
They're lacking, in my opinion, what they need developmentally, just in terms of human development. They're lacking developing a positive physical relationship with physical activity. They don't really know what it is. They just know it's a grind.
Yeah.
Right? And they're not necessarily deconditioned, although when they show up to practice, in a lot of cases, there's still a lot of conditioning year round.
Yes.
They're under recovered, so they're not eating well in most cases, I'll say, generally. Yeah. They're not hydrated in most cases. They are not sleeping well in most cases. There's some dysregulation emotionally and mentally in their brains, partially because of this.
Yep.
And that's the science behind it. And I'm not going to stand here and say, no kid should have a cell phone but it's where we are and what we're dealing with as professionals that are trying to enhance performance.
Yeah.
Right. So where I am is really trying to help. And what I see today is, how do we help kids with the basics?
Yeah.
Beyond what we're going to do, twice or 3 times a week in the gym.
Yeah.
Because the basics generally are not being handled well.
Yeah.
And they're deficient.
How many of those discussions are you having every day? Like, hey, you're on the gym floor, but as well as I do, a lot of times the gym floor is also a conversation piece to all the other pieces of life, right? Like, hey, what'd you have for breakfast today? Right? Like, Johnny's tired when he shows up for his session. How are you sleeping? Like, how many of those discussions are you having within your actual workouts?
It's every day, every session. And the way I like to approach it is, especially with the kids, it's a non-judgmental, unconditional conversation, because it can't turn into a negative. Like, I want them to have a positive relationship with hydrating. I want them to have a positive relationship in thought process when it comes to sleep and nutrition and food and fueling.
Yep.
And how to, mitigate their coaches and playing them. It's all these heavy conversations that they're things they're worried about, or they don't have a conscious. They have unconscious incompetence, right?
Yeah, sure.
So they don't know what they don't know. But
absolutely,
to your point, Mike, it's every day. It's non-judgmental. Hey, bud, what'd you have for lunch today? Because I call it, when I coach coaches, it's an informal inventory. I need to know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Whether it's a group, a team, or individually. Mike, if I know that you skipped breakfast because you slept in, or you're just not a breakfast guy at this point, you're 17 years old, you're in for a session, you did have soccer practice right after school, you're coming in with me because you're trying to make the starting lineup, so you're doing everything you can.
Yeah.
I need to know, all right, you're malnourished and you're underhydrated today, and you didn't sleep well last night. It's not my job to grind you into the ground. I have to meet you where you are and do what's appropriate.
Yeah.
So those conversations, to be direct with your question, it's as many sessions as I have during the day. It's that many conversations or more.
Yeah. Something else that you mentioned leading up to the show that I thought was really interesting is that athletes are caught in this middle ground, right? It's like on one side you have FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, and they have to do the extra workouts, and they, got to get the extra training sessions in. But then on the other side, they're also struggling with they're on the border of burnout and full on fatigue, right? So what can we as parents and coaches do to address this? Because I'm in both camps, right? I'm in the gym and I'm coaching kids, middle and high school age, but I'm also a dad myself, and I see my daughter, and she's 14, and hey man, there's a lot of stuff you have to do now. Right. So how do you help people navigate that?
Right. I say this phrase all the time, Mike. It's meet them where they are first. And I'll say this as well, because it's easy for us as professionals. I'm a dad too. I've been, through it, and I'm still going through it now in ways. The parents are feeling it as well. And any parent knows, dude, we're doing the best we can with what we have. We really are.
Absolutely.
Our intentions are there. We want the best for our kids. But sometimes also, as parents, we don't know what we don't know. And especially when it comes to performance and hydration and nutrition. And we have this overall need for our kids to be happy. Sometimes I'll talk directly to the parents now. Sometimes it's really difficult to be the parent, to not be their friend and nice guy. And I got railed in a soccer parents group on Facebook about a month ago on this one. Sometimes the best thing we can do for our kids is say no.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really difficult. But for the kids, coaches, and our parents, I think where it starts is coming to an awareness and having perspective.
Yep.
And being brave sometimes, because the fear, as we know, is one of the strongest human emotions. So whether you're a kid who doesn't want to miss practice even though they feel run down, they're feeling kind of sick, they're coming down with something, or their back is really bugging them, all this stuff's going on, they're in the middle of finals week, to have the perspective that I'm 14, I'm not going to lose my playing time or my starting role because I miss one practice.
Yeah.
Right? And this almost never happens, but they also most likely would not miss out on anything, especially developmentally, if they missed a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
A week just to take care of themselves, take care of school, work on some tissue quality at home with a foam roll or some light stretching, take a week.
Yeah.
But you say that to most kids and parents, they you can see them back up. You can see the actual fear. And it's easy for us to say, well, if your club coach takes your starting role away because you took some time off to take care of yourself, then you're with the wrong coach or the wrong team. But that's doing this, in my opinion. All they know is they don't want to lose that role. Maybe they love their team. Maybe they love the other girls, the guys on the team. They've been with that team for 6 years. I think the other perspective they need is, it goes back to development a little bit, Mike, and the timing of things and what that timing actually looks like versus what I think they're being sold or what their perception is in terms of, I see it a lot. You can see it on parent-run social media accounts, right? They think they have to have all the highlights and all the cool reels and stuff at 11 years old. College coaches are not looking at that stuff. College coaches are not asking what league you played in when you were 14. For that matter, I have two kids. One played D1, one's in D1 now. One played top 10 D3 in the country.
Yeah. When
we're in the recruiting process for soccer, and I talk to a lot of coaches still, not one coach ever asks what league you play in, or if you were on the top club, like the team in your club. And I'll give this example. I was messaging with a kid that I'm so happy for him. He plays for Bryant University. No one's really ever heard of that school. They're in Rhode Island. They're ranked second in the country, NCAA Division I for soccer. In the entire country, they have a 15-game unbeaten streak. They're 13-0-2. Wow. He just tied number 2 Princeton the other night. So the reason I know this kid is he played with my oldest son at club. They were in a lower league, and we were in a really small club that really focused on development and let's just take our time. And he has just gradually grown into this role. He's ranked 56 in the country in terms of top drawer, best players, number 56 in the country. That's legit. Crazy. That's a potential draft pick in the MLS.
Yeah.
And this kid and his dad and his mom were great because at times they taught me perspective. They're like, yeah, we're not going to go next weekend. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a cool showcase tournament. There's supposed to be college coaches there. And you'd be like, oh, Dave, they're 14. I'm like, you're right. Because even I would get caught up in it. So, again, to circle back around, I'd say it's just awareness and perspective. And I think that's one thing we can bring through education. And but it's going to take educating, and there needs to be a switch in privatized club sports a little bit too, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to circle back because you kind of mentioned your boys, and I remember I think it was at like one of the IYCAA summits years ago, right? So we were sitting there talking, and I think I'd probably just had my daughter. She was very young, and bro, I'm just trying to like get my bearings, right? There's a lot going on in life, and
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, and I just remember you saying, look. My son, he's pretty good at soccer, but I'm not going to let him specialize until he's older. And I was like, wow, okay, so this guy's like really standing on his principles here, and that sounds great. But I know a lot of people listening to this are like, yo, is he crazy? Right? Because if he's good, you want him to get the scholarship and all of that. So I'd love to hear how you personally navigated that. Because again, he's a good soccer player, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would tell you, club directors, high-ranking soccer people would say, oh, Dave, you got to get him in year-round. You got to put him in those showcases. So how did you navigate that, kind of with that end goal in mind of, hey, look, I don't want him to burn out. I want him to try different things. I want him to be a kid. So would you talk to me a little bit about that?
Sure. I think I had an advantage because I was educated in human development and long-term athletic development at that time, right? It was difficult. Like I'm not gonna blow smoke here to you or any of the listeners. There were some parent-kid fights. It was really tough. But what we did early was we sampled early. I mean, he loved to run. Like that's why he didn't enjoy baseball. It was too slow for him. My younger son loved the social aspect of baseball, loved being in the dugout, so that was cool. But with Trev, my oldest, we sampled baseball. We sampled lacrosse, and at the time he didn't like, the touching, the impact that could come with lacrosse when he was little. He loved to run, so we tried like a local community track club, so he'd run a little bit. He tried tennis, didn't like that. He liked basketball, so he played basketball for a little bit. But our rule was you're going to at least do 2 before 8th grade, and we're not going to do club before 8th grade. And back then, what I noticed very quickly was any tournament his town team was at, which I coached that team. So in my area, our select teams were just our tryout teams for rec soccer. Right. So technically it's the best, say 18 kids if it's 11v11 for that age group. And when we would make it to like, say, the state tournament, which was a lot of fun because it was rec soccer, there would be a ton of club representatives there. They're just watching games and they're literally recruiting. So after a game, hey, I noticed your son. What club is he with? Oh, we're not with anybody right now. Oh, let me give you some information. We politely say thank you so much. Yeah. And just move on. He's like, Dad, why can't we play club? Some of my friends are playing club. And for me, there were 2 things. One, at 8th grade, I knew I wanted him to have a different coach than just myself. So that's a personal thing as well. Yeah. And I thought that was very, very important. Yep. And also, I didn't want him in that world where he or we felt like he had to specialize and all this fear of missing out. And I had already trained so many club players. I understood the commitment. It's a family commitment to play a club sport. It's far beyond a financial commitment. It's a family commitment. So there was a lot that played into those decisions, and it's a life lesson. And I really felt like it was a life lesson for Trev and my younger son Andrew as well. Like when you say you're going to do something, integrity says that you stick to that even when it's not popular.
Yes.
Right. Now, if the science changed and it's like, no, it's more beneficial for the long-term athletic, development and their development as a human being to specialize early, maybe I would have switched because, again, we're always learning and we can pivot. But I saw no evidence of that whatsoever. So it was just really difficult. It was a lot of conversations. And this is important, I think, for the club parents, if you're already in it early, ask every year, do you want to play next year?
Yeah.
But mean it.
Absolutely.
But mean it.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
And like my kids knew, you could tell me you don't want to play anymore because you don't love it anymore, and I will love you just as much.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't love you because you're really good at soccer. I love watching you play, but that's unconditional love, and that was really important for me to illustrate through actions as well as just words with my kids. And in fact, to fast forward, my younger son, who runs D1 track for Bryant, after his junior year of club, a little trepidation. We were having that conversation. Hey, bud, what do you want to do next year? And he was on that track. We were going to start talking to coaches and everything for soccer. He said, I love track so much.
That's cool. Yeah.
And I said, is that what you want to go after? Because that's what we'll support. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, do you want to play your senior year of club? And he said, Dad, I don't. And I love the guys, and it'll be hard, but I really want to focus on track. He still played his senior year for his high school and had the best year because he was free from the pressure of soccer.
Yes.
He had the best year of his career by far.
That's awesome.
And but we were able to make that decision together.
Yeah. And what a great experience for him, right? Like, if that's his last, like, high school memory of soccer, just having so much fun, being free, being uninhibited, right? Like you said, you're not putting all that pressure on yourself, and you're not getting all the external pressure from other people, right? You can just play it because you love the game. Like, that's really cool.
Can I just say this? This is a caveat, but I think it relates in context. And this goes for other strength coaches as well. It's really important to me, and it always has been, that kids have a positive exit from competitive athletics. Whether that's like my Andrew is junior year for soccer, or when he graduates from college as a D1 sprinter, he's probably not going to go for sprinting in the Diamond League or anything like that. But, like, is he going to have a positive experience with that exit, a positive exit? And is he going to know how to take care of himself beyond the sport? And the genesis for that, Mike, again, it's a very personal thing for me. My identity became 100% soccer. So my exit from the sport was extremely traumatic. And it really affected me emotionally and from a mental health standpoint for many years, where, like, we're talking about some really low points in my life, therapy, and some really tough, I was in a tough spot. So part of my heart for being in the strength and conditioning world is helping kids with that. Yeah. Is the long-term process and getting out of that chasm of, fear of missing out and taking care of themselves, and knowing that your well-being doesn't have to be sacrificed for success. Yeah. You can do both. They're not mutually exclusive.
I love that. So this kind of brings up 2 points, and I don't want to get too tangential, but the way you think about it is exactly the way I think about it with my athletes. And that's why I want the gym and the weight room to be such a positive experience, because as well as I do, every athlete, there's a shelf life, dude. Even LeBron, hey, man, at some point he's got to stop playing, right? And that's true of every athlete. So I want their time in the gym with me and that experience to be so positive that they want to do that after sport. Right? 100%. So there's one piece of it. The other piece is, look, we know some kids, so like my son, he just doesn't care about sports, which is really weird because I'm so obsessed, right? And maybe I'm like the magnet, like the opposite end. I'm pushing him away from sports, but like he doesn't love sports. So we have discussions all the time, like, hey, bud, like I'm going to love you regardless, but you have to find ways to move your body that are fun for you, right? Because it's something you have to do forever. And so I think that's arguably one of the most important things that you and I do as coaches now is like, hey, we do want to prepare them for their sport, but we want to prepare them for life, right? And just learning how to take care of their bodies and be happy and healthy. And you know as well as I do, the exercise is such a big part of that, right? And part of the greatness of what you do is you don't make it feel like exercise, you make it fun.
Right, and I think that's why you and I connected from the many years ago as well. We have that same philosophy. For me, as soon as they step foot in my gym, whether it was my bigger gym where we had groups of 20 kids, or now it's small groups, as big as 4.
Yep.
It's that this is your safe place.
Yes.
As soon as you walk in the door, you can be 100% you. There's no judgment in here. There's only fun and learning and support. You're supported not just by me and my other coaches at the time, but the other athletes in here. This is what exercise is all about. It should make you feel better, not worse.
Yes. I love that. I love that. So we talked about this up top, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like it's almost commonplace these days, but there are just so many young soccer players now that are tearing their ACLs, right? Like you said, you're on your 16th return to play in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'd love to hear from you as somebody that's in the gym and actually doing this, not just citing research. What are some of the things that you're emphasizing in your training these days to try and reduce that likelihood of someone tearing their ACL?
That's a great question, and I'll start with something I've already mentioned. We have to get the controllables down first. And this is I'm going to say it because it bothers me. There's all these cute little programs are like, hey, prevent ACL tears. And it's hip lifts and a single leg toe touch. Do this 3 times a week and you won't tear your ACL. That's not the truth. For one thing, you have to expect the unexpected. Most team sports, stuff happens, right? Yep. But to that point, we already talked about, I didn't know a kid that tore their ACL, and I played soccer for a long time, right? Yeah. So what's happening? Why are these injuries happening that seemingly didn't used to happen? So in my opinion, we have to start with the controllables. Sleep, the science tells us you're much more likely to suffer even a non-traumatic soft tissue injury if you're not sleeping enough, right?
Yep,
and we can
absolutely.
We don't have to talk about parameters and all that kind of stuff. Yes. It's out there. Nutrition, you have to eat food that helps you. And what I try to simplify things for my athletes. Most of them know, they have a really good idea.
Yeah,
it's a yes or no. Does this help you or not?
Yep.
And I know you can put it in the context: does it help you or hurt you? Does it help you or not? And if the answer is kind of, then maybe there's a better choice.
Yep.
Okay. And it's not to say that you can't always have the kind of food ever.
Yeah, sure.
But most of the time you need to eat foods that are going to help you. And especially the kids that have aspirations of playing beyond high school, you're asking to be in the top 1% for your sport. Are you going to do what 99% of the other kids aren't willing to do?
Yes.
To be absolutely. That 1%? Because one Great of them point. Is eating better.
Yeah.
And nobody eats perfect.
Right.
But make better choices. Hydration is pretty easy. Half your body weight in ounces as a minimum.
Yep.
And I get it. It's hard to do in school. Do your best. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to eat if, you're a sophomore in high school. I'm not asking you to drink 68.4 ounces because that's exactly half your body weight. Do your best.
Right.
Sleep you can control. In many cases, it's time management. While I was up late doing my homework. Did you have practice yesterday? No. What'd you do when you got home from school? They were on their phone. If they took a nap, fine. I talked to my friends. I went out and I met my friend here. Okay, but you're saying you want to be this, but you're doing this.
Exactly.
Get your homework done. So you can get to bed at 10 instead of midnight, and you can get 8 hours of sleep instead of 6. Because consistently, another hour and a half to 2 hours of sleep could be a huge difference maker. So start there, and then from from there, unfortunately, and I say it this way, Mike, because kids are growing up differently, we have to give them what they have not gotten yet or are not getting, depending on the age, in physical education from their sport, from lack of playing outside. General motor skills, a ton of coordination work. I still, even with my high school athletes, it's a ton of enhanced coordination work, whether it's rhythm, balance, reactivity. That's another big one. And we talked a little bit about dysregulation because of phones. If you're reacting slower to plays happening on the field, you have to produce more force to make up time, to make up lost time. Yeah. And now if those tissues aren't ready to handle that, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. Start with the basics and then start to give them as much as we can in terms of what they're not getting or what they haven't had yet. And again, it's not, every day is injury prevention or injury reduction for us. Strength training, that's progressive. There's a progressive overload there based on where they are in their season, how they're feeling. It's progressive, but it's also non-linear, as you know, right? It has to, my programming has always been dictated by the athletes, not just because, well, we're on day 8 for this lift, you should be here. Maybe they're not. Maybe the last 2 sessions we couldn't lift because they're so beat up. We had to do and their CNS is so shot. We had to do 45 minutes of mobility and activation work with tissue work and talk.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I think that's our responsibility, where too often, I don't know if you're seeing this as well, and actually that's a redundant question. We can't have our athletes recovering from our workouts during matches, during games.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not our role.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Like Joe Kin and I used to talk about this, but it's like, I feel like for whatever reason, part of it is just being in a weight room, right? People assume if you're in a weight room, you're a meathead, right? So they immediately, not always, but sometimes have this negative connotation as to who you are and how you think and the way you treat people. But then on the flip side of that, I feel like there's a lot of times where we're the one sane person in the equation, right? We're the ones that are like, hey, man, you're cooked today. We're not going to lift you. Or, hey, you just played 3 matches in 3 days. Maybe you need a day off. Like, it's just so weird because, again, there is a negative connotation a lot of times towards strength coaches and weight rooms. But there's so many times where a kid comes in, I'm like, yo, you just ran like an hour and a half for preseason basketball conditioning today. What do you want to do in here, man? Like, I understand you want to get after it. And I love the work ethic and I love the commitment to being in here. But what I have written down for you today is no longer valid based on the way you're presenting to me right now.
100%. What's there, and I know like you just spoke with Erica Mulholland recently. We talk a lot about a readiness score. She uses technology for that. That's part of that informal inventory. Yeah. What'd you have yesterday? How many games did you have over the weekend? Oh, this is finals week. I know their CNS is shot.
Yep.
Not going to introduce a new lift that week.
Right.
But I think there's the meathead sort of connotation that is given to our field, but also just the stigma of, because I still have parents who seem to get it, that they drop their kids off and the last thing they say to me is work her hard.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yep,
got him, gotcha.
Right, but. On the way out the door, I'll say to her, I'm really proud of you because today that was the grind. You took care of your body today when even though your mind said, no, I got to keep working harder. This is what's going to benefit you, not just today, but tomorrow, next week, toward the end of the season. There's definitely that stigma. And I just had said this publicly too, because in the Northeast where I live, we're at the tail end of the regular season for soccer and most fall sports. So I'm like, and this was out to like all the coaches. I'm like, the teams that are the most recovered right now will have the best run in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Growing up in the 80s, we made the playoffs. It's a new season on the line. We're running.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
now we do know better, but we need to start to, hopefully that stigma changes over time, and it's more about what's doing best for any particular athlete or group that's in front of us.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So initially, I thought this was going to be more of an X's and O's question, but now I'm just more interested in the broad strokes and maybe the psychology behind it. But,
Okay.
we've talked about ACL tears, right? And we've talked about return to play. What are things that you have found that help you be successful in that return to play process? It could be exercises, but it could just be the way you're supporting an athlete, the way you're getting them to lock in and show up and commit to the process. What are things that you have found have made your athletes more successful when they're coming back off those big injuries?
That's a great question.
Well, because I think there's more to it than just like do this exercise at week 3,
There is, and the only reason I hesitated is because it gets me emotional.
Yeah.
Because we have to realize, I was there a couple times in my young career, once in high school, twice in high school, where I couldn't play. And my entire identity, as I had remarked to you already, was sports. So if I couldn't play, I literally didn't know who I was as a human.
Yeah.
So I don't want that for kids. So the very first thing I do when I have an intake with a new kid that, let's face it, now they're getting cleared at 9 months. They're clinically cleared and they're not nearly ready to return to sport. It's not a physical assessment. I might, if I have time, do a couple things, but it's looking at that young athlete and leading with my heart and saying things like, you did nothing wrong. And you're going to get through this, and we're going to have a plan to get you better, back, not just better, but better than you were before this happened.
Yeah.
And the other thing I talk a lot about with a parent, because they need to hear this as well, Mike, in my opinion, and the athlete in that first intake, that first consult, is the opportunity that arises from being on the shelf for 9 to 12 months. The opportunity to learn how to take care of your body in a way other athletes won't. The opportunity to learn who you are as a person. The opportunity to learn how much you're loved and how important you are as a human being beyond being really good at soccer. The opportunity to, I'll even say this, you had 12 months of a lack of load and intensity that most other kids are not getting. You had a forced rest. So if all goes well, you're going to have more life, more fuel in the tank toward the end of your career if you play in college than a lot of other kids.
Yep.
I talk a lot about the opportunities and start to try to infuse not just positivity for the sake of being positive, but this sense of I'm going to get through this sense of real excitement that's not manufactured but is real, and milestones that may be intangible that are attainable within the comeback. The comeback is always better than the setback.
Yep.
Right? Your injury doesn't define you. You're not an injured athlete. You're an awesome human being with friends and a family and a team that supports you, and this happened, and we're going to get through it. You know, it's a lot of conversations like that in addition to that, I talk about the realities of it. Physically, you will be fine. We can get you to the point where you're ready to go. What we're really going to work on is this. And that is the strongest muscle that you have. Your body's not going to do anything that your brain doesn't tell it to. So we're going to help get this to trust this. We're going to help you believe in yourself like you never have before. Because when you start playing confident and free from what if, and the uncertainty and the fear. When you start playing with joy and passion, forget it. Now we're back to, hey, the sky's the limit. You can go after it. But I am also real. It's going to be okay. It's going to be a process. It's going to be tough. But I know you can do it. If you want it, you can do it.
Yep.
So it's really approaching it from that standpoint. And I'm glad you did that, Mike, because the X's and O's are there.
Yeah. You can punch it into AI now, right? You could literally punch it into AI and probably get a return to play program spit out.
I bet you could. But we have the science. We have each other. Like, I still call people. And I'm like, hey, I got this kid. They're coming back, but she's also got some, femoral anteversion. Like, what else can I do to set her up for success? Like, we're always learning from each other, and we can take the science and then apply it in a humanistic form. And I think that's what makes the best practitioners in our field. It's both.
Yep.
Right?
They can bridge the gap.
Exclusive.
Right?
Yeah.
They can bridge the gap, and they can really connect with the human, right? It's not just a client or an athlete. It's another human, and you want to help them get through that.
You know what the pandemic taught me? Our programming is so arbitrary. I could have used my programming, your programming. I could have done an AI program if we had it at the time. You know what the kids needed during the pandemic when we went 100% online? They needed connection. They needed belonging. They needed to be heard. They needed someone to tell them it was going to be okay. We're in this together.
Yep.
They needed all the humanistic. And even because we were like, before the pandemic, I was like, man, we cracked the code. Like, I have a wait list, like a legit wait list. Like, this is awesome. And then it was like, from a physical standpoint, just the X's and O's, I was like,
right.
I mean, it's there, and I'd put my programming up against anybody's, but I mean,
it's all probably 80 to 90% the same stuff, right?
I guarantee it.
I mean, we love to debate the minutia, but 80 to 90% of us are all doing the same stuff, different doses, frequencies, whatever. It's all the same, but I always come back to it's the people behind the programs.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
The people behind the programs. All right, man. Big question time. If you could alter the space-time continuum and give young Dave Gleason one piece of advice, what would it be?
Hey. All right, I would say this. This is going to be a nugget.
I love it. I'm ready.
I would say to myself, you're not going to be able to help everyone, but you can help everyone.
Wow. I like that one.
And just because as we go through the business of what we do as well, right? It's like, I'm running this speed and agility clinic and I want to get 50 kids and 2 show up. Great. Those kids are the ones that are supposed to be there. Yeah. So I would say, Dave, whoever's in front of you, that's who you serve.
Yeah.
You will directly affect the lives of the kids that you train. Sometimes you're going to know about it because the parents are going to say so, or they're going to say so, or they write a cool testimonial. And there's other times you don't find out till way down the road when you see them in like a restaurant or the grocery store and they're like, you changed my life. You changed the way I felt about myself, or this or that, or you really helped me. Or you never find out at all. It doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, man. I really love that. Okay. Last but not least, lightning round. So 4 fairly short questions. Your answer can be as long or short as you like. All right?
Okay.
Number 1, if we woke up tomorrow and you, Dave Gleason, were the head of all things youth athletic development, how would you get us back on the right track?
Oh man, is this like my dream, or is this like this could happen?
No, it can be either. It can be your dream or practical. It doesn't matter.
Oh man, can we go back to the 80s where like soccer season is soccer season, and then you play basketball for 3 months, and then that would be it. That would be the dream. From a practical standpoint, and this is me being a dreamer again, I think we do need a universal I don't want to call it a licensure, but a baseline certification for all coaches, whether it's a youth sport coach or us. If you're dealing with kids anywhere from 6 to 18 years old, and we could, change that framework a little bit, a baseline of human development and the humanistic side of coaching.
Yeah.
Because again, and maybe it's me and the way my mind works. The X and is and O's, I just get it. Like I'm okay, I get that. And then it's like, okay, I can apply that here, or this doesn't work, or, like you said, 90% of it's the same, and we tweak things appropriately, but yeah, it would be that.
Yeah. Okay. Can we sidebar for a minute? Was soccer your favorite sport growing up?
Honestly, it was a tie with hoop. Like I was the kid that. What's that?
No. Continue.
Oh yeah. I was the kid that I would go to soccer camp all day long, come home, have a snack, and I was in the backyard practicing whatever we worked on that day. Like I couldn't get enough. So I would say that was 1A, but a close second was basketball. Like I was also the kid that, like I grew up south of Boston, so like Larry Bird, like I wouldn't go in the house until I hit that 5, 4, 3, last second shot, Bird. Yeah. And I can remember shoveling my parents' driveway, like shoveling snow so I could shoot in the winter.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it was that close, but
here's the real question though, because we're coming back to this whole sports in the 80s thing. Was there ever a time, soccer or basketball, where you're just like, dude, I'm just done. I'm ready to move on to the next thing?
No.
Okay. So here's what I'm getting at, right? For me, growing up as a kid, and we're kind of off the reservation now, but I love basketball, right? But you have a horrible basketball season or something like that, or you just get tired of seeing all the same dudes. I loved, weather's warming up. All right, it's baseball season. Let's go outside and, catch some fly balls. I feel bad that kids don't get to experience that in the same way anymore. It's like, all right, are we doing soccer practice outdoors or are we doing it indoors? It's like the same thing year round. I feel like I just wish more kids would experience that at a young age, like you miss that excitement of something new.
Right. I almost feel like they get desensitized because they never miss their sport.
Yeah.
Come the spring, I couldn't wait to get back to soccer.
Yeah.
Right. And basketball is the type of sport you can just play. If you have a hoop in your parents' driveway or whatever, you can just shoot baskets. It's such a great sport for that. So that may be part of it. But like, I didn't even know what soccer was until second grade. And I had this kid moved in next door and he's like, yo, you play soccer? I'm like, what, I don't know. Like, what is it?
Right.
The next thing I know, we're playing for the rec league. And I'm like, this is great, man.
Yeah.
So they cool. never get to miss it. One of my greatest success stories as a coach, it wasn't because of me, and I never like to take credit anyway. It's this girl that was ranked first or second in tennis, like in the nation every year, like as a U12, U14, U16, and the club that she played out of, the tennis club, used to get so angry with her and her parents because she would stop to play basketball in the winter. You're going to lose your ranking. And it's predicated. You have to win matches to have a good ranking.
Sure.
That's what happened every late spring. She was going to Arizona to play in the national championship. She ended up getting a full ride for tennis to UNC. But again, this is like early 90s.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, it's just...
I just think there's something to it. I think there's something to it, to like just getting away for a little while, playing a different sport. You said learning to miss your sport, right? Yeah. I always loved basketball. And okay, we had a bad season. I still played in the spring, but as soon as baseball's done, I'm like, man, I can't wait for open gym. You're just always looking forward to the next thing, but you have to be away from it and create a little bit of space to realize you really love it.
100%.
Okay. Simple, but maybe not easy question. Why do you love coaching so much? You. Because I know why I do, but I want to hear why you love it so much.
I've mentioned this. I mentioned it almost in passing already. For me, and it's what I search for every session, it's my barometer. When a kid looks at me, like really looks at me and as if to say, without using their words, did you see that?
Yeah.
Like for me to be able to witness that, because I can't give that to that kid. All I can do is provide opportunities for them to give it to themselves. Right?
Yeah.
Their brains, I've always said this, are smarter than ours. So when something clicks and they know because they felt, they just did something great, and I get to witness that, I get to be in the same room.
That's
that
cool.
To me is it gives me a very similar to feeling when I was in the stands and my kid would score a goal and they'd know right where I was in the stands and look right at me, and I'd be like, it's the same feeling, and the humanistic, altruistic side of me, that's what drives my passion for the industry.
Yep.
Is I search for that, and I try to provide opportunities for that to happen every single session. And that also, for other coaches out there that may be new to the field that watch this, it kind of mitigates and strips away, like, we have bad days as coaches. Like, we have lives.
For sure. Yeah.
But when I can enter a session and that happens, my day just got a whole lot better. So if I can continue to have the perspective, that's what I'm searching for. Providing opportunities so that happens, not forcing it down their throats or not trying to make them get a PR because it'll make me feel better, but searching for that moment. That's what gets me out of bed every single day, and why I'll do this until I can't work anymore.
Yeah, I love it, man. Okay, I've never asked this question. 500 plus episodes. But I think this is cool. It's kind of like the gratitude journal portion of the show. So I'd love for you to just share a recent win with us, right? And it could be big, it could be small. What's something awesome that happened with one of your athletes that really had you buzzing?
Yeah, okay. This has had me going since the fall soccer season started, really. Okay. So I was referred a client who's a D1 soccer player.
Yep.
Local girl, so it was great because I'm doing remote training, as I know you are too, but in person, like, you just can't beat it.
Yeah.
So anyway, sitting down and talking with her again, like, my first intake is not a physical assessment, and really digging into, like, what do you want to do? And what came out of it, and she got to that emotional place. She's in her junior year. She plays D1 college soccer. I want to prove to myself and my coach that I can do it, meaning I can play more minutes. I can be an impact player on this team. Because she's one of those girls, like a lot of players in any sport, you were the best in your town.
Absolutely.
You were probably the best on your club team. And now you're playing with a team full of kids with the same exact thing. If not better than you, just flat out better. I remember feeling that when my first preseason day, I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
These kids are good.
Yeah.
So, having that moment with her and then really getting invested in her, because now I feel that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Sammy, we're going to do everything we can to get you there. And we're going to do it the right way. Because in the past, she had overtrained. Right. And what we figured out were little things like, in the heat of the moment on the field, going after 50-50 balls or a longer play in soccer, she was forgetting to breathe altogether. So we worked on recovery techniques during the game. Yeah. We worked on ways for her to get out of her own head during the game. Right.
Yep.
In addition to a different way of getting conditioned for preseason. I had to talk her into, Sammy, you're not going to go to preseason in the best shape of your life, because the only place to go after that is back down. You have to recover. And I don't want you recovering for 3 months. I want you getting better for 3 months. Yeah. So if you guys make the postseason, guess who's fresh?
Yep.
You. And she bought in. She did everything that I asked her to do. She took care of all the basics: sleep, nutrition, water. She was doing everything that I was asking her to do on her own, with tissue quality, in her own emotional and mental health.
Yep.
And just recently, I went to a game. I surprised her and showed up at one of her games. Her university is like an hour from here. It's not too bad. And she played all but 5 minutes of the first half. And she was literally, I'm not just saying this, like I can look at these things objectively. She was the best player on the field in the first half. Like she owned,
I love it.
She's a forward. She owned the outside back on the other side. And it was at the point, every time she got the ball, you could hear the crowd like, oh, what's she going to do? Right. And then in the second half, she got subbed out at like 27 minutes. 5 minutes later, she was back in.
Love it.
And I was just, she didn't score, but I was so proud of her.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for her because she did it.
Yeah.
I
love it. Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's why, from a performance standpoint, that's why we do this. Like we're preparing them to perform at their very best, and then we see how things play out. So to see it work out for an athlete is obviously you've experienced this. It was just so gratifying. It's just and again, it's like after the game, I was like, "Hey, you," and she was just like I could cry. She was just beaming,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like,
that's awesome.
That's it. That's the good juice.
It also helps you remember to like, hey man, all the stuff we do in the gym isn't for the gym, right? It's ultimately for what they do on a basketball court, on a soccer pitch. What we do in the gym is not the end result. What they do on a field is the end result. Right.
It's for right now. It's for today.
Yeah. I love it.
That's a great question.
Last but not least, thank you. I think I'm going to use that one more because I like that. It's like, it doesn't have to be, it's impossible to span your entire coaching career, right? You do this long enough and there's so many things, so it allows you to kind of riff on something that's new. So I like that. Okay. Last but not least, man, what's next for Dave Gleason?
What's next for me? I've been fortunate. It's a little premature, but I've been fortunate to get connected to a company out of Florida that is really starting to make waves in youth long-term player development. And what their focus is competitive student athletes and working with them in all aspects of their young careers. And when I first met this company, I was like, oh my God, you call it a career. Finally, someone like, if a kid starts at 5 years old, by the time they're 15, they've had a 10-year career.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely.
Especially if they've specialized since 5. So what's really neat about this company is that it's all evidence-based, research-backed, like all that good stuff, but it's truly the holistic deal, right? It's the kids, it's their parents, and they provide coaching, training, and support in 4 main areas. It's sports psychology and mental performance, sports science, which that's the part I get to be involved in, which I'm psyched.
Yeah.
Sports management, because again, this is a career, and if they're competitive, they probably want to play after high school. And now what's really new to the picture that you mentioned is sports marketing and branding. How to deal with NIL and what's legal and what's not. And if you do this, you could still get in trouble. So you need to make sure you do it the right way. Make sure your AD is contacted. And in each one of those 4 buckets, they have licensed or certified or experienced and or educated professionals helping. And it's very early on, but that's I'm going to continue to do what I do because I love it. I'll never stop coaching. But that's an exciting thing down the road. I expect from, within the next couple of years, you'll hear about what's going on.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Well, Dave, it's been amazing to catch up with you, to reconnect. Where can my listeners find out more about you and all the great stuff that you're doing?
CoachDaveGleason.com. So it's pretty easy, and I say that because my social media handles are there. It's Instagram, Coach Dave Gleason, Facebook, Coach Dave Gleason. Same thing with my YouTube channel. I'm most active on Instagram if you really want to see what's going on or what I'm talking about. And I'd love to contact any one of you. I love coming in contact with other coaches too, because we're all in this together, and it's as we said in the beginning, it's not getting any easier.
No, No, I love it, man. Well, I'll make sure I get all your links in the show notes. So if you're listening, make sure you follow Dave, especially if you coach young athletes or you have young athletes. He's a fantastic resource. So, my friend, thank you again for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, buddy. I'm grateful.